Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome along to Sportsbet TV with me, Paul Alster. I'm back with you after a couple of weeks break. I was a little bit out of sorts last week, so was unable to put together a video for you. I hope you managed very well on your own. It wouldn't surprise me if you've been coining it in, and if not, then hopefully we can help you get back on the winning trail this weekend. I haven't really spoken to you since Glorious Goodwood, which was, of course, very challenging for everybody. I haven't spoken to many people at all to make it pay in the bog, the quagmire that was Glorious Goodwood. And for the most part, our horses struggled with the conditions, which were so changeable. I have to say, Mr. Wagyu ran very well in the Stewards' Cup to get some each-way money for us, but overall, it was a loss at Glorious Goodwood this time around. I'm working hard to try and make sure that we end the month in front, and I've got two selections here for you for Saturday. If you're joining us for the first time, please remember to press the sub button just below this screen. You'll get all my free tips here on this YouTube channel. And if you're interested to join me for much more extensive numbers of selections across many more meetings at the weekend and the big racing festivals and other races as well, then take a look at the link below this screen that will take you to Patreon, where you can consider joining my premium service Out in Front, where we've been enjoying some pretty good success over the summer run. And of course, I'm really looking forward to the getting close to the autumn season, including next week, where I'll be tipping all 4 days at the Yorkhill Festival. I'll also have a couple of videos for you here with just one or two selections, just to keep us in the mood here at Sportsbet. So do remember to check out the link and consider joining me at Out in Front. Now then, let me take you to the two I have for you for Saturday. One at Newmarket, the other at the Curragh. And start off at Newmarket in the 205 race, rather, a 6 furlong. It's the grey horse handicap. They're forecasting good to firm in play at Newmarket, even though in parts of the country it's going to be on the soft side. So they may well have missed the rain. I hope that's going to be the case over the weekend. 16 runners for the grey horse handicap. Now, I'm not really into these novelty races, things like the Racing League and the Showgirl Cup that much. But leaving aside the fact that they're all grey horses, and it's nice to see that sort of sight charging down the July course, it is quite an interesting race, this. So I've given it a code of looking at. And at the time of this recording, Wednesday afternoon, they're betting 6-1 the field with the Charles Hills trained Divine Libra, who was third over course and distance last time, having won nicely at Chester the time before on easy ground. He's joint favourite with the Andrew Balding trained Celtic Champion, a horse who hasn't run for over 6 months and is something, I think, of an unknown quantity. This is his first run since winning a Lingfield all-weather 6 furlong sprint in February, and I think the market is probably going to tell the story there with regard to whether or not Celtic Champion is going to be ready to run his race and really do better than you might anticipate after such an absence. Now, amongst the others, last year's winner Strike represents Johnny Portman. He's back to attempt to win back-to-back renewals, but I've got to say the race last year was really disappointing because it cut up to just a handful of runners, and he got home there. But this is far more competitive. It's a race. He fell by only a head to win last time out, so he's in decent form, but that was in a class 5. He's going back up in class, and he's gone up £3 for that defeat. So I think that Strike looks to have plenty on his plate. Magical Max represents Ivan Furtado. He's had a break since winning here over 7 furlongs in June, and he's gone up £5 to a higher mark. He's equally effective, though, at this 6 furlong trip, and the break, I think, may well have freshened him up a touch. So he has to be considered. And this is a big drop in grade for the Heather main train, Mr. Bluebird. This one was a winner at Goodwood in June over 7 furlongs. His chance has to be respected after the stable slotted in yet another big prize winner at Windsor on Thursday. She specialises in big prize winners, does Heather Main, who of course had one going at 150-1 or whatever it was earlier in the season. And then you've got Tim Easterby's Music Society, a horse I really like. He's ever so consistent on all manner of ground. Rock solid horse. I think he'll be on the premises again, regardless of what conditions there are underfoot. But my choice here is The William Muir train, in fact, he trains in partnership with Chris Grassick, Mytros on Fire, who's the mount of the South African rider Greg Shane. I've got really high hopes for this horse. He actually won this very race 2 years ago when he was just a 3-year-old, now a 5-year-old. He won a decent renewal 2 years ago off a mark of 85 on good to firm ground when he beat Wentworth Falls by half a length. And that was his 4th handicap win that year. Last year, he won at Nottingham off 83, and then he returned to Newmarket to win over 7 furlongs on good to firm in August a year ago off 85. He was also placed a number of times on the all-weather during the winter. Now, this season he's had 4 runs. He ran a couple of decent races over 7 furlongs this term at Newmarket, where he seems to run his best races. And he just never got into it at... well, he did get into it at Ascot, but he got hampered in the international handicap where on the wrong side, and he ran much better than the finishing position would indicate. I think that coming back to 6 furlongs, and as long as the ground is good to firm, I think he's going to run a massive race. This Mytros on Fire. If he gets a clear run, which he failed to get at Ascot last time, and obviously 16-runner sprint handicap, you need a bit of luck, he's going to go really well. There are plenty of firms offering 5 places each way and 12 to 1. So 12 to 1 each way. Mytros on Fire is my first choice for Saturday. And then I'm going to take you on to the Curragh. The 4 o'clock race at the Curragh is a cracker. It's the Group 2 Alpha Centauri Debutant Stakes for 2-year-old fillies over 7 furlongs. They're forecasting good ground at the home of Irish flat racing, and there are 10 runners. Now, this is always the race. The recent winners included the likes of star performers Magical, Alpine Star and Rhododendron. Now, Aidan O'Brien has won 5 of the last 10 renewals, and his son Joseph has won 2 of the last 3. So the O'Briens have really, farmed this race, as is so often the case with the races in Ireland. Now, Aidan runs Pearls and Rubies, who's the early 5 to 2 favourite, made a winning start to her career at Navan in the spring, and failed only narrowly to beat the Gavin Cromwell trained Snellen in the 7 furlong listed Chesham Stakes, you'll remember, at Royal Ascot in June. Now, Pearls and Rubies again found the 1-2 good in Group 3 Anglesey Stakes at the Curragh on soft ground last time out over 6.5 furlongs. I think the forecast better surface is going to help her, and she's sure to be there or thereabouts, but I just wonder if she might again find 1 or 2 too good. And amongst those 1 or 2 might be Snellen, who's back to a new rivalry with Pearls and Rubies. And this horse is unbeaten. She's 2 from 2 for Gavin Cromwell. Her Ascot triumph in the Chesham came only 10 days after she made her debut, and that was at Limerick in a maiden. She's been given time to recover from those 2 quick races in the space of 10 days. So she's going to come back fresh here, fresher, I think, than Pearls and Rubies. There's no reason why I think she won't confirm the form with the Ballydoyle filly. The pair of them set a very good standard, and Snellen, I think, is less exposed than Pearls and Rubies, and could be one to have on your side. She won't be at all far away, but I think there might be a better bet in the race. Now, Sakti represents Jer Lyons, who went very close to making a winning debut this filly, beaten just a nick on debut at Leopardstown 3 weeks ago. She's a potentially exciting filly. She won't be out of it if she can take the step up in grade, while Mysteries, trained by Donica O'Brien, another O'Brien, the only other previous winner in the field, actually. She scored the second time of asking in a Cork maiden in June, since when she ran well to be 3rd in the Group 3 Silver Flash Stakes behind Aidan O'Brien's exciting Ilang Ilang. That was at Leopardstown, and they popped a hood on her for the first time. Now, the thing about this race is the form lines, loads of collateral form lines involving that Aidan O'Brien trained filly, Ilang Ilang, who could well be 1,000 guineas filly for next season. She looks very exciting. And a number of maidens in this race have come up against her so far in Ireland this season. Now, the collateral form lines, I think, are interesting, and they include Vespertilio, who's trained by Willie McCreary. Now, she came home better than anything to finish 2nd in the Group 3 Silver Flash Stakes at Leopardstown, and she certainly is improving. I think if she takes another big step forward, she's going to be right in there amongst them. Now, she comfortably holds mysteries, in my view, on that effort. Josie O'Brien also runs Dollarina, who ran a cracker-on debut to finish second at Lang Lang. And it wouldn't surprise me to see this daughter of Territories take another big step forward as well. I do think this is one of the most interesting races of the whole weekend anyway. But in the end, as you know, I'm always looking for value, and I'm looking for reasons why horses are run in specific races. So it brings me to the selection. And fourth in the race, won by Lang Lang, in that Curragh maiden, not the group race, when Lang Lang won its maiden, was a horse called Bielsa, trained by Jessica Harrington, the mount of Shane Foley. And she has just over 2 lengths to make up with Dollarina. Now, I'm hopeful that she'll be able to do that. She ran a little bit free on her racecourse debut that day, but still shaped with a lot of promise. She's shaped as if she was a very, very classy filly, just running out of puff inside the final furlong. She'll have learned a lot from that, I think, and hopefully she'll strip fitter as well. Now, when you take a look at the breeding of Betula, you can understand why they've got high hopes for her, as has been reported here and there. She's absolutely bred in the purple, and particularly for this race because her dam is a half-sister to the outstanding winner Alpha Centauri, after whom this race has been named. The Group 1 winner Alpha Centauri, who was trained by Jessica, was brilliant. The dam is also a half-sister to Alpine Star, who was trained, I think, by Jessie and was a Group 1 winner as well in 2019, and actually won this race. And she's also the dam sister to Discovery, is another Group 1 winner. This is a really, really high-class family. And I expect that Jessie Harrington will now have a fully wound up after her racecourse bow, and there could be quite a bit of improvement to come as she tries to sort of uphold the family honour by winning the race named in honour of her very close relative. Now, of course, Jessie could have taken this filly to a decent maiden race and tried to win there, or a listed race, but the fact she goes straight into this, I think, is really interesting. Now, when I made my notes, she was 20-1, but that 20-1 has in fact gone, and she's now available at 16-1. In fact, she is available at 20-1 again. The 20-1 is back up, so I'm happy to go with that. Bet365 are trying to tempt us in. So 20-1 has come back up for Betula with Bet365, and I think that's a pretty interesting bet for the 3 places. This is a tougher race than I think it looks at first glance. I think the first glance would suggest that the Cheshire form is all that matters, but I think those form lines involving Ilang Ilang will bring a lot of the other horses, including the maidens, closer to the group and pattern race proven fillies. So those are my 2 for you for this weekend. I wish you the best of luck with those and any other horses you may choose to back. Once again, do check out my link at Patreon and consider joining me out in front. And I'll be back to you with some selections Tuesday for the opening 2 days of York's brilliant e-ball fixture next week. So I hope very much you'll join me for that. But it's bye-bye for now and have a great weekend.